Did you miss me? It's been an interesting 48 hours. So there I was the day before yesterday, having finished designing the interior of the Hobbit hole. Quite pleased with myself indeed, when I look up to stop the recording on my camera to realize that it crapped out about halfway through and I didn't notice. And to add insult to injury, I could not then retrieve my files from said camera and put them onto my computer. So after letting that sink in, I went out and bought a new one. It's nice, right? I think it's nice. Although now it becomes very apparent when I don't wear makeup. So anyway, after fighting that reality for a while, I took some time away and came back yesterday and just recorded some audio over some time-lapse footage of the build. She was real tired, y'all. Regardless, I am really happy with the way the build turned out. It's very cute. It's very cute. I really like it. I hope you like it too.
Alright, so here's my little Hobbit hole. As you might notice, I made a few changes to the exterior. I put some new roof pieces on either side of the door to kind of give it that slope, and I gave it some new windows. I got a few more debug items, but mostly plants, and I made sure to check the lot value, and I only gave myself enough money to stay under $20,000 because I really want to keep this a starter home. I started with lighting, and I really wanted only to use candles or things that looked like it could house candles, which is why I chose that sconce. I knew I was going to be spending a lot of money on lighting, so I wanted to get it out of the way. So I went through the house and allocated all the lights that I was allowed to use. And then I went back into live mode and changed all of the lights' colors to the nice warm gold, because it really does affect how things look in the build, and so I wanted to get the lighting the way it was going to be. Next up were my wall coverings. I really love the Tudor wall coverings from Get Together, but they were just too expensive, so I went with this, I think it's from Jungle Adventure? Yeah, this like stone and stucco outside in kind of a warm yellow color. And then for the inside, I went with the simple warm wainscoting all the way around because I thought it looked kind of hobbity and it wasn't too very expensive. And then I went through and changed the colors of the windows to kind of match the more honey tones of the wainscoting that I put in. Now for the bathrooms, I chose this really cool stone from Island Living. I really like the way it looks. Then I went on to flooring next, and I really didn't want to use the basic flooring. I wanted something with more dimension, and so luckily that Pets flooring is really beautiful and it's the same price. And then in the bathrooms, I tried a couple different stones before I found one I liked, and I just wanted something a little more simple, but still something that had kind of warm tones in it so it could catch accent colors in that beautiful stone from Island Living that I have in the bathrooms. I was really loving the way it looked, so I went on to the doors. I like to do as much structural work on the build as I can overall, and then work room by room once all the uniform things are set. I was starting to run out of money kind of quick, so I had to go with those awful budget kitchen appliances. I was also definitely regretting buying all those expensive floor lamp candelabras. I don't remember exactly how much they are, but they're pretty spendy. So I knew I had to start thinking of ways to cut down costs because again, I really wanted to keep this a starter home. So yeah, I just started kind of downsizing all the rooms, but the problem with resizing this particular build is that the terrain is affected. You know, I kept having to correct weird terrain stuff that happened every time I shrank a room. And in retrospect, I really probably should have done the interior first and set that in stone, and then worked on the exterior. I stopped recording for a while and just fiddled around with the floor plan until I found something I liked. And this was a good, you know, a good thing to be going on with. I made further changes, but I just needed to get it small enough to give myself some more money. And I knew the bathrooms were going to be the next big money pit, so I worked on those next. I really, really wanted that clawfoot tub, but I knew I couldn't afford it, so I went with the more budget-friendly version. And I was kind of just shuffling things around, trying to make things fit, and then came the sinks. I absolutely despise pedestal sinks. I think they're so awful. Lil Simsy and I share that opinion. Subscribe to her, by the way. And to me while you're at it. Now, I knew I wanted round mirrors in the bathrooms. I wanted round things everywhere. I wanted that geometric theme throughout the build. Because we don't get a round doorway, which is so iconic of Hobbit Hole. So I wanted to make up for that in other areas. I put in some toilet paper rolls, which I deem as essential items in the bathroom. I know they're technically decor, but I just don't like the way bathrooms look without them. And then I put down some rugs because I kind of also think that those are essential decor in a bathroom as well. Oh, and then I struggled for some towels, and I'm pretty sure I ended up deleting those because that was the thing in the bathroom that I sacrificed for a couple more simoleons. But, you know, the toilet paper roll and the rug stayed for sure. But then came perhaps the most essential thing in any Hobbit Hole build, the fireplace. I knew I was going to be dumping a lot of my budget into a fireplace, but you can't have a Hobbit Hole without one. So I was really starting to hate the layout of the main room. It was just a giant box. It wasn't doing me any favors, but I couldn't think of what to do about it in the moment, so I just moved on to the bedrooms. I started out with these base game futons in this awful brown plaid. I really, really hated that plaid. Oh, but I really wanted this bed. The bed frame is so pretty and antique looking, but I swapped it out for that brown plaid again eventually. Because I just didn't think I had it in the budget. I added some little distressed dressers into the bedrooms, and I was fussing around with the lights some too, because I hate when rooms have dark corners, and that's a problem that you'll get a lot in a Hobbit Hole for sure. And I went for one of the cheaper toys. I didn't go for the truck because I didn't think that made sense in a Hobbit themed room to have a truck for a toy, but that little pony is appropriately called a prancing pony. So I mean, how perfect is that? Then, right about now, I got the bright idea to swap out the big, expensive floor-light candelabras for some tabletop ones for the dressers. So I fussed around with that for a minute and readjusted all the lighting. But I was really not happy with the floor plan of the bedrooms. Again, they were just kind of boxy and boring, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And the lot was still just way too big. And then I realized that a lot of my items, like all the lights, had devalued because I went into live mode to change the color of all the lights, so I accounted for the difference when I deleted the big candlesticks. Yeah, I kept periodically checking the lot value and readjusting the money, so to stay under the 20,000 simoleons. And then I moved on to the little dining area. I tried to get an inexpensive table that was still very rustic looking. I didn't go with the bare minimum cheapest one because that had like a concrete base or something, and I didn't think that fit. I was always willing to go, you know, for the next expensive one up if it fit the theme better. And here I was messing around with the color swatches on the fireplace for a minute. It kept reading so green in the light, and it looked kind of weirdly Christmassy to me, but I didn't like any of the other ones any better, and I was hoping that once I got some more furniture in the room that the color contrast would be more apparent. I really wanted to get some kind of library, desk, office space in here, and I went with these Parenthood bookshelves. And this season's desk is so lovely, and I've never really looked at it before. But then there was that corner to contend with, and I couldn't think of what to put there. And so I kept going back and forth with the desk, and I couldn't quite decide how I wanted it. And it's very difficult to break up a room for yourself if you don't give yourself, like, you know, make little rooms within a room. And that's what I tried to do in this layout for a long time, but everything just started looking so generic and boring. So I just stopped recording for a minute and fussed around with the layout some more. So this, I think, is the final floor plan for the build. I don't think I moved it anymore. I really love the 2 bookshelves on either side of the fireplace, and that desk fits really well on that little wall there. Oh, I love that big round rug from Realm of Magic. But it really took over the room. I needed something a little more subtle, and so I put in that well-worn rug. It makes the place look lived in, and I really like that. Oh, here's my last desperate attempt to put some more columns in, and that idea died quickly. I wanted to make like a little mudroom corner, so I put that coat rack and that little hanging hat up there. I thought that was really sweet. I thought about updating the love seat because I had a little money left over, and I was fairly sure that I could readjust again for my lot value. But instead of doing the love seat, I just went for a cushier armchair. This high back armchair from Pest is just so dramatic. It's excellent. I put it in that little cheery little yellow color with the floral pattern. Oh, but then I realized that I had enough money for better beds. So I went back in and I bought that nice bed for the master bedroom. And I'm so happy I did. I love that green quilt. It's so much better than an awful brown plaid. And then I was done with all of the objects I had to buy, and so I went digging through the debug stuff for some interior decor. And the first thing I did was put in that little short sword. I was so happy to find that. It's so perfect, and it snapped right into the mantelpiece, and I love it. It's just a nice little Lord of the Rings reference in there, which was really nice. And then I moved these little wall decorations around. I'm not sure what those are exactly, but they were free, and they looked nice, so in they went. And then I started putting in all this kitchen clutter. But then as soon, I knew I wanted some shelves, but as soon as I put them in, I knew that I also really wanted a window. So I took the time to carve out another opening in the landscaping, in the terrain tools, and added that little window in there. And I'm really glad that I did. It really helped the kitchen a lot. Now, I was a little nervous about using these debug pot and pan things because I'm fairly sure that Sims can interact with them, and I didn't want them to despawn. So I just stuffed them up on the highest shelf, hopefully out of reach. And then I scaled down that pretty little lavender planter and popped it next to that teapot just to bring a little color into the room. Oh, I can't sing the praises of debug enough. It really lets you get away with making a place feel cozy on a budget, and I'm not at all above using those things, especially for a theme build like this. Oh, but that wall decoration I really wanted to buy, that really lovely dried herb one from Realm of Magic. I'm happy I bought that because I kept thinking about it, and I went back and I made sure that I had money in the budget. I really wanted to try to use that trio of plants from Jungle Adventure, but I decided against it because that bromeliad is a tropical plant, and I didn't really want tropical plants in this build. I didn't think you'd find tropical plants in the Shire, really. Oh, I fought this plant so hard. I really wanted to make it look like it was inside of one of these Salvadoran pots. But eventually I just went back into the debug stuff, and I found another plant that was essentially the same thing, but without the pot attached to it. Yeah, this corner just needed a little height and a little color, so I'm glad I went and took the time to do that. I threw that little doormat down, and I placed that little book on the desk. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it was the only thing in debug that I liked for that area. And then I place those remaining hanging plants just for a little bit of greenery around the place, especially when a build is so small and you can't quite get away with having things in your way on the ground. I'm happy about these hanging plants. I think they add a nice little touch. And there it is, all finished! I cannot tell you how happy I am with this build. I think it's really nice. All right. Let's look at the inside. Here's the living area. I really love how the layout turned out. I was nervous about that fireplace for a little bit because of how green it started to look, but now that there's some actual green in the space, it reads more gray like it actually is, and I'm happy about that. There's a view into the dining room. I really love these spandrels for this build, and those are the cheapest ones, so I love them even more. This little desk area is the least decorated. I couldn't find anything that I really liked that was within budget, so I left it kind of plain. And the dining room isn't overly done either, but it does feel like someone lives here. I love that little decanter on the table, and you know, the hanging plants and the potted plants really give a little greenery, which is important, especially in a build that's this dark. You know, it can get really dark in here because there's, again, not a lot of windows. But speaking of windows, here's the kitchen window. I'm just really pleased that I took the time to do that. I'm really happy with the kitchen overall. Even though it's really simple, it's still very colorful and you know, and pretty darn cute, if I do say so myself. I am so sad that I have to use those horrible, basic, cheap appliances, but just anything that was on theme was much too expensive. Oh, and here are these beautiful plants from Realm of Magic. I love that thing so much. It's exactly what this place needed. It was simoleons well spent. Simoleons well spent. Moving on to the bedrooms. Oh no, wait, let's go into this little bathroom first. Yeah, I mean, very simple, very straightforward, and a little dark. But honestly, I don't think I care. I like this stone from Island Living a lot. I think it's really dynamic and colorful, and even though it is a bit dark, you know, it still adds a bit of interest, and it's not, you know, it makes it less boring, much less drab. And the bedrooms are fairly simple too, but you know, that can grow with your sim. But man, I'm really happy I got that other bed. I mean, look at that quilt, so much better. And here's the other little bathroom. It's, you know, much the same as the other one, but a little bit bigger. I didn't want any showers in this build. I really didn't think showers fit this theme, so that's why both of them have tubs instead. Oh, and then last but not least, here is the smaller bedroom. Well, I mean, I guess kind of least, I suppose. There's not even a window. This is definitely the most plain room in the house, but yeah, it can grow with your Sims. And boy, do I love that one little toy that happens to be the prancing pony. It's very appropriate for a Hobbit build. And here's the bird's eye view. I'm very happy with the final layout. I think it's kind of strange and quirky, and I'm happy I didn't just leave it as a giant box, because that was really bothering me. I like the color scheme throughout very much. Very warm and earthy and golden and green. And this is such a departure from any kind of style of builds that I usually do. You know, when I play with my Sims, I love minimalist houses, you know, clean black and white builds with, you know, maybe a touch of boho, maybe a touch of glam, but this is, you know, full-on antique fantasy. And so it was really fun to stretch that decorating muscle because I hadn't used it in a while.
What do you think? Let me know. This build is already available for download in the gallery. I'll put a link in the description. You can also just search #AmandaDoes and it'll be right there. This is turning into something I really enjoy, so thanks for watching.